Alright, another part to my tactical rebuild, I guess it's called now, since I took it all apart. Gotta rebuild it, but let's see, got it all disassembled. Went ahead and polished out my trigger bar. As far as how it feels nice and smooth. I did go to the Dremel after I got done sanding it, and I went ahead and hit it with a polish at I think it was about 15,000 RPM, and then I just went hit all those points that I started sanding with the 1500 grit, and everything feels very nice. So I'm going to go ahead and start installing it. That's what everything looks like after I'm done here. So let's go ahead and upgrade this bad boy. At this point, actually, you can go ahead and put it back together if you don't choose to get any aftermarket parts, and see how it feels. And then if you don't like the way it feels, go ahead and tear it down again and just keep sanding it some more, polishing it out. And that's what I'm going to do. This is my first, well, hopefully it's not my hopefully it's as good as how it's as good, and I want it to keep it this way. But if I should need to go break it back down, just that's why I started out with the 1500 grit instead of hitting it with such a rough sandpaper like a 600, then graduating to a 1000, because I feel like if I went straight to the 1500, I can smooth out the parts and then feel how it is once I put it back together. And if I should want to adjust it, go from there, and then I can hit it back up and then maybe hit it with 1000 grit and work out some of the rough areas. But this is looking pretty good. I mean, some of these hard to reach areas were pretty time consuming, and there's still a little bit that I feel like I could have worked on. But like I said, this is going to be a temporary, well, hopefully it's a final, and hopefully I like the way it turns out. It's pretty smooth, but like I said, you can always take it apart, and now that you know, go back and disassemble it and repolish these parts. But let's go ahead and see what we got here from Cajun Gun Works, and we can start building it up. I did mention I got the installation kit for the decockers. I picked up that trigger pin. Trigger pin's still sitting in here. Did pick up the Cajun Gun Work. Nope, that's not it. Wait, I got it somewhere. Cajun Gun Work reduced pressure trigger return spring. Oh, sorry, reduced power trigger return spring. So all made in the good old USA. I love that stamp. Gonna go ahead and put that in. I did get a decocker spring just in case when I'm putting this bad boy back together. I think this is like $3 or $5, $3 maybe. I bent that spring, but we'll see what happens. What else did I pick up? I guess this is going to be the first piece right here, to tell you the truth. It's going to be an extended magazine release. So this is going to be your new piece. This is going to be your factory piece. And when you put them side by side, you can see that it is that much longer. And I'm holding it pretty even there. See if I can line it up maybe a little bit better. Yeah, right there. So not much, but this is the extended magazine release from the Shadow. Whoops. But as you can see, it's a little bit longer, and I like it. It's got that nice serration on the side there, just like the other one did. But installing that's pretty easy. One note: when I was taking out this retaining screw, that sucker is really hard to get out. So you need to put a lot of pressure on that to get that screw to come out. You need a flathead that fits perfectly in there. And I ended up messing mine up pretty bad. but I have an extra one. I left the magazine release tension spring in there because I knew I was gonna be putting it back in, or replacing this, I mean. So putting it back in is kind of a pain because it's got a lot of pressure on you. You have to squeeze it in and put it in there. But I just pulled it up enough so that it clears the hole. Yeah, there you go. So I pulled it up enough so it clears the hole, and I left it in place. And that's what I recommend you guys doing. But you can always pull it all the way out and clean that up. Some people do recommend to polish and sand in here, so that makes your safety or your magazine release smoother to press. But I left mine alone, and if I should feel the need to polish it up after installing this piece, I'll tear it back down and see what I got. But since I left that in there, it's got a nice tension. Push it in. I'm going to hold it in place and just give it a quick press, and that bad boy sticks out pretty far. But I love it. I love it. It reminds me of another pistol that I'm going to be doing a review here of, the Tactical Sport. But that's got a long safety similar to this, and I think this one might be just a little short of the Tactical Sport safety, but this is a nice piece. Again, that's from Cajun Gun Works. Part number on that one is going to be 32 ES. So pick one up if you're going to be wanting something like that. I love that part. Let's see, what you do here is put your trigger bar spring in, hold it down. Then, like I said, I messed up my retaining screw pretty bad because it was giving me hell. So I gave it hell, and it gave up. So I have a replacement because I went to town on that guy. And I'm just gonna screw that back in. So it's looking pretty good now. Let's screw that in. And what's cool about this screw is that when you're pulling it out, you can feel it clicking. Not noise clicking, but kind of like you're adjusting a sight. You can feel it clicking all the way down until it gets tight. Switch flatheads there. And that's pretty interesting. I wonder if there's like some kind of spec to how far you need to tighten that down. But see, that's what you don't want to do. You need to get enough pressure on there so it doesn't miss the lip. But that's about where I remember the old ones being. Now you got that extended magazine release, if that's something that you choose to purchase. One thing in the polishing video that I don't remember if I shared, but I did polish this as well. So if you see those are nice and shiny. Yeah, let's see what else. Going from there, you're gonna go ahead and let's see. All right, we're gonna go ahead and install the reduced power trigger return spring. And I showed you earlier that I had a slave pin in my trigger. We're going to go ahead and push that out now. And you do want to be careful because we'll be coming flying out at you. But what this, oops, actually, you know what? You need a 1/16 punch for that. Forgot to mention that in the video earlier. But you need a 1/16 punch to push that out. So there's that slave pin. When you pull this out, that's going to come flying up at you if you're not grabbing it. That's the old one. Old parts go over there. This is the new one. And you got the long piece going to the front of the trigger. Wow, this guy is really tight. Alright, give me a second on that one. So you're just gonna push it and put tension on the spring so that you can get this slave pin down. But do not bend. Again, I repeat, do not bend the spring. There you go, pressure, and that's in. Now we're going to take the trigger bar and reuse the pin. You shouldn't have to use force here, just push out the pin. That attaches to your trigger bar. Nicely polished, hopefully, and smooth trigger bar. Go ahead and reinsert trigger bar, making sure that it's underneath the grooves of the frame in the back. And making sure that that front part is in the groove. That's now in the groove. So while you're holding that, you are going to align it so that you can put your new Cajun Gun Works trigger pin. So went ahead and started lining that up. This is just a little bit of patience, guys, to get that to go through. Just to line it up, having the right pressure here, having the right pressure back there, and then just making sure that you have your springs in tension there. So then you can push your slave pin out. And I'm going to keep that separate so I don't get that confused with some of the other pins. Put that in the old parts bin. And you can pretty much just push that with your finger. I didn't think you would be able to do that, but till the end. There you go. There you go. And then now, whoops, shot it through the other end with the new pin. It's got a nice, like, meeting point where it holds. So that's done. Next on the list is the hammer and disconnector. So what I got here is our 16 Decocker race hammer. It's the only, well, you get a choice actually, it's not the only one, but that's the beauty that I got. It's going to be the flat versus the round. Those are the two styles. Actually, the round wasn't even in stock. But I do want to show you guys, while I take out the disconnector, the difference in the hammers. Now, one, look at the widths. So that's a big difference right there. Two, you can see when you line it up properly, the hammer is actually lower. Again, that's going to help with the action of the pistol when it hits that contact point. Again, when that slides back, it should be a lot smoother and lighter. And then, if you can see, this is your half cock decock portion. So different profiles, and then let's see if I can get the angle of, let's see if I can line it up. Pretty similar as far as angles go. I want to say, I'm not sure if I'm lining up right, but I want to say the angle on the stock hammer is a little bit steeper. Yeah, I mean, that's as close as I can perceive to get it to be lined up. It looks like there's a little bit different profile there, but these are the old hammer pins. I'm going to leave that there with it. Went ahead and ordered type 2 disconnector. Show you the difference there. And I also got my hammer strut pin. And this is the new disconnector, type 2. And you can see the size on that. That is a pretty big compared to the stock one. So a lot different profile. You can change the action. You can see the size. That's going to change your reset. And if you can see it right there too, maybe, possibly, if I can get it in camera. Whoa. You're going to have a groove there, whereas this one is smooth. You can see the angle and the size of these 2 points. And again, the quality is unmatched. The quality of Cajun Gun Works parts is unmatched. These things are unbelievable. That's going in the old parts bin either way. This is going on like that. This is the pin to go into the, whoops. I missed the disconnector. That's okay. Probably need a smaller one, so push that back through. Make sure you got that in the right orientation, and get that to go through. Alright, looks like I'm going to have to hammer that one, so give me 1 second. Yep, just a light tap, and then you can push that in while I lined it up. And you got your strut. If I remember correctly, should be going in that way. that's going to be connected with our hammer strut pin. So I'll start that one out. Then I'll put the strut and I'll line it up. And might have to give it a light tap. Nope. Alright, you can push that one through, but a light tap will get it all the way in. So that's your new polished strut, race hammer, Type 2 disconnect, Cajun Gun Works pins. They're specially treated, which I think is awesome. Gonna go ahead and get that in there. And you can see how it looks like Terminator 3 in here, how nicely polished everything is. All the contact points, top, right here to the disconnector, which is brand new hammer. Again, I left this pin in, but I'm going to push it up and out of the way so I can line up my hammer through there. Again, this pin only goes in one way, so make sure you're pushing it from left to right and then push it all the way in. I'm going to go ahead and push that pin back down, and that will hold all that in place. So now you have your race hammer, Type 2 disconnector, polished trigger bar, reduced power trigger return spring. Ended up having to put another retaining pin because I messed my old one up. I chose to keep this trigger, which I actually like my stock trigger. Most people will change this out for a combat trigger or something else, depending on what they got in their setup. And while I had it all apart, I put this extended shadow magazine release. Going to the next step. Next part here I got is a short reset trigger 2, not the 1, because I'm actually going to be using some of these for a different build. Short reset trigger. So I'll show you what's our short reset system. Show you what's in this kit. You're going to have a new firing pin. Cajun Gun Works makes this with a reduced power firing pin spring that's already attached to it. And this is for the firing pin block models, not the shadow models. Put that down real quick. That's my firing pin. Gonna have 2 hammer springs. I'll tell you the poundages on those in just a second. Just gotta be real careful. It's gonna be a firing. This is gonna be a firing pin block reduced power spring. And I possibly almost lost. There it is. So that will be replacing that spring. This is the stock. This is the Cajun Gun Works part. So this is pretty easy. Just take this out, replace that with the new one, and be careful with that spring because it is very weak, I guess you can say, but it's a little flimsy. It bends a little bit easily, but make sure that's seated. Be careful when you press it, doesn't shoot out, and it's seated properly. So that would be the new one. Again, polished up on top. Put that down for later. It also comes with a firing pin retaining pin. I believe this is rolled. Yep. And it was perfect because my old one cracked in half. As you can see, it is hollowed out in the middle, and that bad boy just snapped in half. Again, my gun is very well worked in. This might not happen to you, but I guarantee you it will, because this is very prone to breaking. So I'm glad that this kit comes with a new firing pin, retaining pin, and this allows you to dry fire all you want as well, because that's a solid pin. Let's go ahead and go over what else it comes with. This little tiny screw or spring is a firing pin lifter spring, if I believe I'm saying that right. Firing pin lifter spring, yeah. So this is your new firing pin lifter, and that's the spring that goes with it. Nice looking part again. So let's go ahead and move that aside carefully. And let's go ahead and put this back into focus. Again, we got our cleaned out firing pin hole where it sits. So we have our new one and our old one. Let's go ahead and compare the two. So this is an extended firing pin, and let's see if I can line it up again. And as you can tell, it is very small amount that it is extended, but you don't need a lot. So you're talking about like 1.5 millimeters at the most, maybe just 1 millimeter that is extended. But you can tell the coating on the new one, which is down here on the bottom, and you can see the strength of the original spring versus the reduced firing pin spring. So put the old one aside, put the new one in, and let me see if I can remember this correctly. You want to put the grooves of the firing pin up, and I hope that's right, because I'm kind of going off my terrible memory. But there you go, that's the extended. You're going to want to put your firing pin block. I think I might have done that backwards. Awesome. So let's put your firing pin block in. Try to get that in. You want to press it in, leave the tension, and your firing pin should slide in. And then that firing pin block should actually keep your firing pin from coming out. But if you press it, it will come out. So let's see. I'm going to go ahead and press it in. And as you can see, that will allow your gun to fire. It's one of the added safeties that nobody wants, but we were given. So we're going to go ahead and pop the new